All the chairs went very fast, and after an hour's ride, we came near the palace gate. We followed the Emperor's chair, taking a shorter route, and noticed the gate was wide open. His Majesty, the Emperor, and the young Empress chairs went in, but we had to alight and walk in. There were small chairs waiting for us. As I explained before, these little chairs were carried by eunuchs with a rope across their shoulders. We came to the courtyard of the audience hall where the Emperor and the Empress were waiting for us. As usual, His Majesty knelt in front. Behind him was the young Empress, and we knelt in a row behind her, waiting to welcome Her Majesty to her palace. She went to her room, where the eunuchs had placed everything in order long before her arrival. We held the ceremony that afternoon and evening. After Her Majesty had retired, we came back to our rooms and found that everything was in order. Our eunuchs had made up our beds already. It was very nice to have them, for we could not do our own work at all. I was so tired, and my limbs were stiff. I immediately went to sleep and did not realize how long I had slept until I heard someone knocking at my window. I got up and pulled the blind away. I noticed that the sky looked dull and thought it was clouded. I felt happy and thought it might rain, and so relieve Her Majesty. I got dressed in great haste, but much to my disappointment, I saw the sunshine on the opposite windows. The palace in the Forbidden City was so cold and built in such a queer way. The courtyards were small, and the verandas very broad. All the rooms were dark, no electric light. We had to use candlelight. One could not see the sky except by going into the courtyard and looking up. I found that I had risen before the sun was up, and I was not quite awake yet, and thought the sky was clouded. I went to Her Majesty's own palace and found the young Empress already there. She was always the first and always looked so tidy. I often wondered how early she had to get up. She told me that I was not late, although Her Majesty was awake but not up yet. I went into her bedroom and made my usual morning courtesy to her. First thing she asked me was about the weather. I had to tell her the truth, that there was no sign of rain. Her Majesty got up, dressed, and had her breakfast as usual, and told us there would be no audience that morning. The Emperor went to the temple, sacrificing, and there was nothing important to attend to. We prayed for 3 days in succession, but no rain came. I found that Her Majesty was truly discouraged and ordered each of us to pray 20 times a day. We marked a spot with vermilion powder and a little water on big yellow sheets of paper each time we prayed. On the 6th day of the 4th moon, the sky was clouded. I ran to Her Majesty's bedroom that morning to tell her the news, but found that someone had told her already. She smiled and said to me, "You are not the first one to give me the good news. I know every one of you wanted to be the first to tell me. I feel very tired today and wish to lie down a little longer. You can go, and I will send for you when I'm ready to get up." When I went to search for the young Empress, I found all the court ladies there also. They all asked me if I had noticed the rain. We came out of the waiting room and found that the courtyard was wet, and after a while it rained very fast. Her Majesty got up, and we prayed as usual. Fortunately, the rain did not stop, but came pouring down all that day. Her Majesty played solitaire with the dominoes, and I stood at the back of her chair watching her. I saw that the young Empress and all the girls were standing on the veranda. tell them to wait in the waiting room? Can't they say that the veranda is wet? I went to them, but before I had the opportunity of telling them anything, the young Empress told me that the waiting room was wet and that the water had gone in. As I said before, this building was very old and there were no drains at all. Her Majesty's own palace was high. It had 12 steps, while our waiting room, which was on the left side of her palace, was built right on the ground with no raised foundation at all. While I was talking on the veranda just for a few minutes, I got quite wet. Her Majesty knocked at her glass window and told us to go in. Now I must explain that none of us, not even the young Empress, could enter Her Majesty's palace without her orders, except we had work to do there or were on duty. Her Majesty was very happy that day. She laughed and said that we looked as if we had just been pulled out of the lake. The young Empress had on a pale blue gown, and the red tassel on her headdress was dripping red water all over her gown. She smiled and said to us, "Look at those girls, their gowns are all spoiled."